The night was quiet on Outpost 47, a small human colony at the far edge of the known galaxy. Stars looked cold and distant. Shining over the desert planet below, wind moved across the sand, whispering softly against metal walls. Inside a small dome house, a boy named Leo sat near the window, watching the endless sky. Leo was 12, curious and brave. But tonight he felt lonely. His father, Dr. Marcus High, was a scientist working late in the lab again. Leo often waited for him. But most nights, his father never came home before sunrise. The boy sighed and looked at the old toy on his table, a small music box with a golden star carved on top. When he opened it, a soft melody began to play, the only sound breaking the silence. Outside, lightning flashed across the dark clouds. But this lightning was strange, blue and silent, like something alive. Leo pressed his face to the window, eyes wide. He had never seen a storm like that before, not even in the data logs his father showed him. Then he saw something, a flicker of movement near the old communication tower. It looked small, maybe an animal, but the outpost didn't have animals. Curiosity pulled him, stronger than fear. He grabbed his flashlight, slipped on his jacket, and quietly opened the door. The wind hit his face as he stepped outside, cold and sharp. The ground glowed faintly under the storm's light, every grain of sand looking alive. Leo walked slowly toward the tower, his boots crunching softly. His heart beat faster with every step. The metal tower loomed tall and silent, its antennas shaking in the wind. Then he heard it, a soft cry, weak and scared. He turned his light toward the sound. Under the base of the tower, half hidden by old cables, was a small figure. It was not human, and not like any alien Leo had seen in his father's studies. The creature was curled up, shaking, its skin pale blue and glowing faintly in the dark. Its big black eyes looked wet and frightened. It wore torn silver cloth around its small body. Leo froze for a moment, afraid. But something inside him whispered, "It's just a child." He knelt down slowly and spoke, his voice gentle. "Hey! Hey, it's okay," he said, though he wasn't sure the creature could understand. The alien looked at him, eyes wide, then tried to crawl back. But its arm trembled, and it fell with a soft cry. Leo saw dark marks on its skin, like burns or bruises. He felt a wave of sadness. The alien looked so weak, so lost. He took off his jacket and placed it gently over the small body. "It's okay," he said again. "You're safe." The alien blinked slowly, then made a soft sound, almost like a word. But Leo couldn't understand it. Lightning flashed again, and Leo realized he had to take it somewhere safe. He looked around. The storm was getting worse. If his father saw him, there would be trouble. But he couldn't just leave it there, so he lifted the creature carefully into his arms. It was light, almost weightless, like holding air, and its faint glow made his arms shimmer blue. He ran back toward the house. Heart pounding, the wind howled louder, carrying strange sounds. Something in the sky moved, a shadow, fast and distant. Leo didn't look back. He reached the storage cabin behind their home and slipped inside. Closing the door quietly, the air inside was cold and dusty. He placed the creature on a pile of old blankets. It breathed softly, eyes half closed. Leo found a water bottle and a small energy bar and placed them near it. The alien looked at the food with confusion. Then it took a small sip of water and whispered a sound that almost sounded like, "Thank you." Leo smiled. Feeling warmth in his chest, he sat near it. Listening to the storm outside, he could hear distant thunder. Though it wasn't normal thunder, it sounded like engines. Far in the distance, lights moved across the sky. Too steady to be lightning, Leo frowned, thinking, maybe ships. But why would ships come here now? He looked back at the alien child, now sleeping peacefully under his jacket. The blue glow dimmed, fading like candlelight. Leo whispered softly, "You'll be okay, I promise." He didn't know that by saving this small creature, he had just changed the future of two worlds. That night, the storm outside grew stronger. Sensors on the outpost blinked red, showing unknown signals approaching. But inside that small cabin, a quiet moment of peace lived between two lonely souls, a human boy and an alien child. And beyond the clouds, in the endless dark, something powerful was already watching. The next morning came quiet and gray. The storm had passed, but the air still smelled of metal and dust. Leo woke early, his heart pounding with the memory of last night. For a moment, he thought it was a dream. But when he looked toward the corner of the storage cabin, the small alien was still there, sleeping softly under his jacket. Glowing faintly blue, Leo knelt beside it, watching the gentle rise and fall of its chest. He couldn't believe what he had found. An alien child, alive, alone, and right here on Outpost 47. He wondered where it came from, and why it looked so weak. Then the alien's eyes opened slowly, black and shining like glass. For a second, they both just looked at each other in silence. Leo smiled and spoke softly. "Hey, you're awake." The alien tilted its head. Not understanding, Leo pointed to himself and said, "Leo." Then he pointed at the alien and asked, "You?" The alien blinked and touched its small chest, whispering something like, "Ari." The sound was soft and musical. Leo nodded, repeating, "Ari?" and smiled. The alien smiled back, a tiny flicker of light glowing brighter on its skin. He gave Ari a piece of the energy bar and showed how to eat it. Ari watched, then copied, chewing slowly. It made a small happy sound that made Leo laugh. For a moment, they both laughed together, two children from different worlds. The laughter felt warm in the cold cabin. Outside, the wind brushed softly against the metal walls. Like a song, Leo took out his old music box. He opened it, and the soft tune began to play again. Ari's eyes widened, the glowing marks on its face flickering gently. It leaned closer to the sound, then began to hum along. The hum was beautiful, clear, and strange, like the sound of wind mixed with light. Leo watched in amazement. When the song ended, Ari touched the box and whispered the word, "Lum." Leo didn't know what it meant, but it sounded kind. From that day, Ari always called him Lum every night. Leo came to the cabin with food and water. He kept the secret hidden from everyone, even from his father. Dr. Marcus Halley was busy working on the colony's power core project. If he found out, he might report Ari to the military network. Leo couldn't let that happen. He knew that if they took Ari away, they would study him, not help him. Days passed, and their friendship grew stronger. Leo brought old books and pictures to show Ari what Earth looked like. He pointed to blue oceans, green forests, tall cities filled with people. Ari watched carefully, eyes shining with wonder. Then Ari drew pictures too, glowing lines on the dusty floor. They looked like stars, planets, and strange symbols Leo didn't understand. He realized they were maps, star maps. Maybe Ari was trying to show where it came from. Sometimes at night, Leo heard strange signals through his father's equipment. Short bursts of sound, like coded messages. He didn't tell anyone, but he felt deep inside that it had something to do with Ari. He wondered if someone was searching for the alien child. And if they were, what would happen when they found this small outpost? One evening, Leo came running to the cabin, excited. He had built a small toy robot from old parts and wanted to show Ari. When he turned the switch on, the robot's eyes glowed red. Ari laughed, the first real laugh Leo had heard from it. He reached out and touched the robot. And suddenly the robot's eyes turned blue. Leo gasped. "You did that?" Ari nodded, smiling shyly. Somehow, Ari's touch could change energy. Maybe even control it. Leo didn't understand. But he knew this was something amazing. They played together until the sun dipped below the horizon. The red light painted the sand outside like fire. Leo knew he had to leave before his father noticed. So he stood up, smiled, and said, "I'll come back tomorrow, okay?" Ari nodded, placing a small glowing hand on Leo's arm. "Lum," it whispered softly. Leo smiled and whispered back, "Ari," that night. Leo went to sleep with a smile, but far across the desert, silent shapes moved under the stars. Machines without lights, gliding just above the sand. They left no sound, no trace, only shadows. In the command center of the outpost, warning lights blinked, weak signals from deep space. Unknown transmissions, approaching fast. Dr. Marcus frowned at the readings on his screen. He thought it was interference from the last storm. He didn't know that something ancient and powerful was coming closer each hour. Looking for the lost one, the missing child? The child who now slept peacefully in a human's old cabin. Holding a broken toy robot and a golden music box, Leo dreamed of flying through stars. He didn't know that soon those stars would come to him, and that his small act of kindness would wake the attention of the universe. The sun rose red over the desert again. Outpost 47 came to life slowly. Humming with the sound of machines and wind turbines, Dr. Marcus Hall stood in the control room. Staring at a flickering radar screen, there were strange signals again. Small blips that appeared and vanished near the horizon. He frowned, rubbing his tired eyes, thinking it was just interference. But deep inside, he felt uneasy. In the last few days, he had seen more system errors. Power flickers, radio distortions, and strange energy readings. Something was happening out there, something big. But he didn't know that the cause was much closer than he thought. Meanwhile, Leo ran across the sand to the storage cabin. He was smiling, holding a small blanket and a few food packets. When he opened the door, Ari was already awake. Sitting near the window crack, the alien child was humming the melody from the music box. The faint blue glow on its skin shimmered with each note. Leo laughed softly. "You like that song, huh?" Ari turned and smiled. "Lum," it said gently, pointing at Leo. Then it pointed outside, toward the horizon. Leo followed its gaze and saw distant lights, like tiny stars on the ground. "What's that?" he asked, but Ari didn't answer. Its smile faded, replaced by worry. Leo didn't understand, but he could feel the fear in those dark eyes. He sat down beside Ari, offering the blanket. "It's okay. You're safe here," he said quietly. But outside, the lights grew brighter, and the radar back at the base began to beep faster. Later that day, Leo's father came home early. He looked tired and serious. "Leo, stay close today," he said. "The sensors are picking up something unusual," Leo nodded. Trying to hide his nervousness, he knew exactly what was unusual. Ari. But he couldn't tell his father. Not yet. When night came, Leo sneaked out again. He carried a small lantern and his father's old datapad. He wanted to show Ari some pictures of stars. But as he reached the cabin, he froze. The door was open. Inside, Ari stood near the center of the room, hands glowing with soft blue light. Broken tools and metal parts floated around in the air. Spinning slowly, Leo stepped closer, whispering, "Ari?" The alien turned quickly, the light fading from its hands. Everything fell to the floor with a loud clatter. Ari looked scared, like it had done something wrong. It's okay, Leo said gently. I won't tell anyone, he smiled, though his heart was racing. He realized Ari could control energy, maybe even gravity. He wondered what kind of power that really was. But before he could ask, a voice came from outside. Leo? It was his father, calling from a distance. Leo panicked. He whispered, Hide! And Ari quickly crawled behind the old crates. Leo ran outside, pretending he had just come to look at the stars. His father walked toward him with a flashlight. Leo, what are you doing out here? He asked, sounding annoyed. I was just looking for my toy robot, Leo said quickly. Dr. Marcus sighed. Be careful, son. We're getting strange readings from this area. He looked around. The flashlight beam moving across the sand and metal. Then he frowned, staring at the open cabin door. Did you go in there? He asked. Leo froze. Before he could answer, Dr. Marcus stepped forward and pushed the door open. The flashlight swept across the room. Broken metal, glowing dust, and strange marks on the walls. Then his eyes widened. In the corner, Ari was standing, shivering. Blue eyes reflecting the light. Dr. Marcus froze. He slowly lowered the flashlight, his mind racing. The creature was real, not from a dream. Not from data logs, but alive and right here. Leo, he whispered, what have you done? Leo stepped in front of Ari, spreading his arms protectively. Please, Dad, don't hurt him, he said, voice shaking. He's not dangerous. He's just scared. Dr. Marcus stared at his son. Then at the alien child. He could see the fear in both of them. He took a slow breath, trying to stay calm. Where did you find it? He asked quietly. Near the tower. During the storm, Leo said. It was alone, cold, and hurt. I couldn't leave it there. The scientist in Marcus wanted to call it in, to report the discovery, but the father in him saw something else, kindness in his son's eyes. He knelt down slowly, looking at Ari. The alien child stepped forward, trembling, and looked at him. Then it reached out one small hand and touched his arm. A soft glow passed between them, and Marcus felt warmth instead of fear. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Marcus said softly, You did the right thing. Leo, he smiled faintly, though worry still clouded his face. We'll keep it safe, but we must be careful. Outside, the night sky suddenly flashed with light. The radar at the base went wild. In the distance, blue fire streaked across the stars. Not meteors, but ships, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Descending silently through the clouds, Marcus looked up, his face pale. They're here, he whispered. Leo turned toward the cabin, where Ari stood at the door, eyes wide and glowing. The alien child whispered one word, soft but clear, home. And at that moment, the universe began to move. The night sky burned with light. Across the dark horizon, dozens of glowing ships fell through the clouds like silent comets. Blue trails followed them, painting the air with strange fire. Outpost 47 shook as the first ship passed overhead, leaving a deep rumble in the air. Dr. Marcus Halley rushed inside his control room, his hands shaking over the console. The radar was full of red dots, hundreds of them. He tried to call the main colony, but the signal was jammed. No answer, no contact, only static. He looked at Leo, who stood near the door, pale and scared, and behind him, Ari watched the sky, eyes glowing bright like two small suns. What are they? Marcus whispered. Ari turned slowly, whispering a word in its soft, musical voice. Warriors, it said, and the lights in the distance seemed to pulse in rhythm with the word. Leo felt his chest tighten. Are they your people? He asked. Ari nodded, its small face full of sadness. Marcus realized the truth. This was no ordinary child. This was someone important, someone the galaxy wanted back. Outside, the ships began to land. The ground trembled as huge craft touched down on the sand. Their shapes were smooth, almost alive, glowing with blue lines that pulsed like veins. Then the hatches opened, and tall figures stepped out. They were covered in armor that shone like glass, carrying strange weapons that hummed softly. Their eyes glowed the same color as Ari's skin, and they moved with perfect, silent discipline. Leo grabbed Ari's hand, his voice shaking. "Will they hurt us?" Ari looked at him, shaking its head slowly. "No hurt," it said. "They come for me." Marcus took a deep breath and turned to Leo. "Stay behind me," he said. But his voice wasn't angry. It was protective. He could see that these aliens were not here to destroy. Not yet, but they were not friendly either. A bright light filled the room as one of the ships sent a signal beam toward the outpost. A voice echoed in the air, deep and powerful. "Inhabitants of Outpost 47. Step outside," it said. Marcus hesitated, then looked down at Leo and nodded. "Come on, son," he said softly. They stepped out into the cold night, the sand glowing under the ship's light. Hundreds of armored aliens stood in a circle around them, silent and still. At the center, one tall warrior walked forward, his armor silver with golden lines. He stopped a few feet away, lowering his weapon, his eyes locked on Ari, who stepped forward slowly. The air grew heavy, a sound of engines fading into silence. The warrior knelt on one knee, bowing his head. "Royal child," he said in a deep, respectful tone. "We have searched every system for you." Leo's eyes widened. He looked at Ari in disbelief. "Royal?" he whispered. Ari looked down, quiet and shy. It touched its chest, and then Leo's hand. "Lost," it said softly, "but found." "Because Lum," Marcus finally spoke. "You mean this child is royalty?" The alien commander turned his gaze to Marcus. "This is Ari of House Venner," he said. "Heir to the Thalren Alliance." Leo didn't understand the titles, but he could feel the weight of the words. The warriors around them all lowered their weapons, bowing slightly toward Ari. Then the commander looked at Leo again. "You are the one who protected him," he said. His voice was strong, but not unkind. Leo swallowed hard. "I just helped him." The commander tilted his head. "Your kind shows mercy," he said slowly. "Many in this galaxy have forgotten that word." Ari stepped forward and pointed to Leo's small music box. The commander watched as the boy opened it. The soft melody played, drifting through the cold air. The sound was gentle, human, full of feeling, and for a moment, even the warriors stood still, listening. The commander lowered his head. "Such a simple sound," he said, "and yet it carries more power than any weapon." Marcus felt something change in the air. The tension faded, replaced by a quiet respect. He realized that Leo's kindness had done something no soldier could. It had built a bridge. Ari turned to the commander and spoke softly in their own language. The warrior nodded, then looked back at Marcus and Leo. "The child has asked for peace," he said. "We will honor it." He raised his hand, and the warriors stepped back in formation. The sky shimmered as other ships moved into position, glowing brighter than the stars. Then slowly, one by one, they began to rise. The commander gave one final look at Leo and said, "You have done more for our kind than you know." "Young human," Ari turned to Leo, eyes full of tears. "Go?" It whispered. Leo nodded, his throat tight. "Yeah. But don't forget me." Ari smiled faintly and placed a glowing hand on his chest. "Never," it said softly. "Lum is light." As the ships lifted off, blue light washed across the desert. The wind blew gently. Carrying the faint sound of the lullaby, Marcus put a hand on Leo's shoulder. "You did something incredible, son," he said quietly. Leo watched the ships fade into the sky. He didn't know it yet, but the universe would remember his name. The next morning, the sky above Outpost 47 was quiet again. The strange lights were gone, leaving behind only the soft blue glow in the sand. The air felt still, calm, as if the universe was holding its breath. Leo stood outside the cabin. Staring at the empty horizon, Ari was gone, and the silence felt heavy in his heart. Dr. Marcus Hall walked up beside his son. For a long moment, they said nothing. Only the wind moved, carrying faint whispers across the dunes. Finally, Marcus spoke softly. "Your friend is safe now," he said. "You gave him what no scientist, no soldier, ever could hope." Leo nodded slowly, his eyes still on the sky. "I miss him," he whispered. "I know," his father said, "but maybe he's not really gone." That night, the colony lights flickered once, and the sky filled with thousands of tiny blue streaks. Everyone on Outpost 47 came outside, staring in awe. The streaks looked like stars moving together, dancing slowly in formation. Marcus checked his scanner and gasped. "They're ships," he said, "but they're sending a signal?" A soft tone played through the speakers. It wasn't static or noise. It was music. The same melody from Leo's golden music box, the same tune Ari loved. The same song that had connected two lonely children from different worlds. Leo smiled, his eyes shining. "Ari," he whispered, "you kept your promise." The next day, a message arrived through the central network. It came from the Thalrin Alliance, the same race that had taken Hari home. It said, "To the humans of Outpost 47, your compassion has not gone unseen. Our people offer friendship, knowledge, and peace." Marcus read the message twice, hardly believing it. The alien fleet that once feared humanity now reached out in trust, because of a single act of kindness from a small boy. Over the next weeks, everything began to change. Alien ships landed peacefully on human colonies. They shared technology that healed sickness, cleaned water, and grew food faster than ever before. Trade and friendship began where fear once ruled. And the story of Leo and Ari spread across the stars like a legend. People started calling it the lullaby of light. A story told on space stations, in classrooms, and around campfires. About the human boy who shared a toy with a lonely alien child, and how that one small gesture touched the heart of an entire species. Leo became known as the Bridge of Two Worlds, though he never wanted titles. He still lived on Outpost 47 with his father. He spent his days fixing machines, studying stars, and waiting every night. He looked up at the sky. Sometimes he saw blue lights flicker between the stars, and sometimes he thought he heard that soft hum again, the sound of Ari's voice, singing along with the music box. Years later, Leo grew up and became an explorer. He joined a new mission, the first human ship allowed into Thalrin space. When he stepped onto the alien homeworld, the crowd went silent. Tall warriors bowed their heads as he passed. And there, standing in the front, was Ari, older, taller, but with the same bright eyes. Ari smiled and said softly, "Lum," Leo smiled back, tears in his eyes. "Ari." They stood together before thousands of people, human and alien alike. And Leo realized something. All the war, all the fear, all the silence between worlds, it could be broken not by power, but by understanding, by kindness, by compassion, by one small act of friendship. That night, a celebration filled the alien city. Blue lights floated through the sky, and the same song played again. The lullaby of hope, the melody of connection. Leo stood beside Ari and looked at the stars. He whispered quietly. "We did it," Ari nodded and said. The universe listened. Back on Earth, scientists, leaders, and children watched the broadcast. They saw the two friends, one human, one alien, standing side by side under the same light, and for the first time in history, the galaxy was united, not by fear, but by empathy. Out in the dark reaches of space, far from any world, a signal drifted, the same song again, carried by radio waves through the endless night. It touched distant stars, empty moons, and silent planets. A reminder to every being who heard it, that even in the coldest places, light can still find a way. The music box sat quietly on a table inside Leo's ship, its golden star shining faintly in the dim light. He picked it up, turned the small key, and smiled as the melody played. He looked out at the stars and whispered, "For you, Ari." And somewhere, across the universe, a familiar voice answered softly, "For you, Lum."